The text came in at 3:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. Going to Mom's for a few days. Need some space to think. I stared at my phone screen, grease still under my fingernails from the Chevy I'd been working on all morning. The irony wasn't lost on me. My wife Sarah needed space to think, and her mother lived in Arizona, 3 states away from our little coastal Maine town. Funny thing about needing space to think at your mom's place when you've already booked room 167 at the Seaside Inn for 2 guests. Ocean view, premium rate. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I'd found the booking confirmation in her deleted emails 2 weeks ago. Amateur hour, really. Sarah always thought she was the smart one because she wore suits to the bank while I wore coveralls to my auto shop. But smart people don't leave digital breadcrumbs leading straight to their affairs. Sure, babe. Take all the time you need, I texted back. Then I called my buddy Pete, who works night security at the Seaside Inn. Hey, Danny. Pete's gravelly voice came through the phone. What's up? Need a favor. Room 167 checked in today. Can you confirm the guests for me? Pete was quiet for a moment. We'd grown up together, boxed at the same gym, shared enough beers that he knew when not to ask questions. Sarah Mitchell and some guy named Brad Thompson. Fancy car, expensive clothes. They requested late checkout. Brad Thompson. Sarah's new co-worker at First National. The guy who'd transferred from Boston 6 months ago with his MBA and his leased BMW and his protein shakes. The guy Sarah mentioned a little too often during dinner conversations that had become increasingly rare. I hung up and walked to my toolbox, pulling out the spare keys to our house. Time to make some changes. By evening, I'd changed the locks, moved Sarah's clothes into storage unit 47B, and scheduled a courier service for the next morning. The divorce papers had been sitting in my desk drawer for 3 weeks, ever since I'd hired lawyer Tom Rodriguez to draw them up. Tom was discreet, efficient, and had handled my dad's business affairs before he passed. More importantly, Tom understood that sometimes a man needs to move fast when the ground shifts beneath his feet. The next morning, I drove past the Seaside Inn on my way to the shop. Sarah's Honda was parked next to Brad's BMW in the lot. They'd requested a late checkout, Pete had said. How thoughtful of them to sleep in on my dime. Sarah's credit card was still linked to our joint account. Not for much longer. At exactly 10 a.m., I called the courier service. Package for room 167 at the Seaside Inn. Priority delivery. Make sure both guests sign for it. Then I went back to work on the Chevy, humming an old Johnny Cash song. The phone started ringing around 10:30. Sarah's ringtone, Love Story by Taylor Swift. How fitting. I let it go to voicemail. Then it rang again. And again. By noon, I had 17 missed calls and 12 voicemails. I didn't listen to any of them. Instead, I called the bank and canceled our joint credit cards, then transferred half our savings into a new account. Exactly half, nice and legal, just like Tom had advised. My sister Kelly stopped by the shop around 2 p.m. She bartends at Murphy's Tavern downtown, which makes her the unofficial information hub of our little town. Nothing happens here without Kelly hearing about it within 6 hours. Danny boy, she said, leaning against my workbench with a grin that meant trouble. Heard some interesting gossip today? Seems Sarah Mitchell got some unexpected mail at the Seaside Inn. Did she now? I wiped my hands on a rag, not looking up from the engine I was rebuilding. And word is, she's been calling everyone in town looking for you. Even called Mom, asking if you'd mentioned anything about divorce. What did Mom tell her? That you've always been the quiet type. Keep your cards close to your chest. Kelly's grin widened. Also that she never much liked Sarah anyway. That evening, I decided to hit the gym. Pete's gym was a no-frills place. Concrete floors, heavy bags, free weights that had seen better decades. It was where I'd learned to box as a kid, where I still came to clear my head and work out frustrations on something that couldn't fight back. Brad Thompson was there. He was at the bench press, struggling with a weight that made me shake my head. All show, no substance. His form was terrible, and he was sweating through an expensive workout shirt that probably cost more than most people's grocery budget. "Need a spot?" I asked, walking over. He looked up, not recognizing me at first. "Yeah, thanks, man." I positioned myself behind the bar as he lowered the weight to his chest. When he started to press up, I applied just enough downward pressure to make it challenging. "You new in town?" I asked conversationally. "Few months now. Work at First National Bank." He was straining now, his face turning red. "Banking, huh? Meet any interesting people?" "Some." The word came out as a grunt. I eased up on the pressure, letting him rack the weight. "Small town like this, everyone knows everyone. Take my wife, for instance. Sarah Mitchell. Works at First National, too." The color drained from his face as recognition dawned. He sat up quickly, reaching for his water bottle with shaking hands. "Funny thing about small towns," I continued, picking up a 40-pound dumbbell and casually curling it while we talked. "Secrets don't stay secret long, like who's staying where, with whom, charging what to whose credit cards." Brad stood up abruptly, grabbing his gym bag. In his haste, he knocked over his protein shake, which spilled across his bag and onto his expensive sneakers. "Oops," I said mildly. "Careful there, Brad. Wouldn't want you to slip and fall. Could be dangerous." He practically ran for the exit. The next morning, Sarah was waiting in my driveway when I got home from my morning run. She looked like she hadn't slept, her usually perfect hair disheveled, her makeup smudged. The Honda's engine was running, and I could see she was ready to bolt if this conversation didn't go her way. "Danny, we need to talk." "Do we?" I kept stretching against the porch railing, not making eye contact. "This is insane. Divorce papers? Really? We can work this out." "Can we?" I finally looked at her. "How exactly do we work out you screwing Brad Thompson at the Seaside Inn on our joint credit card?" Her face went white. "How did you— No. Sarah, honey, you left a paper trail a blind man could follow. Hotel confirmations, deleted texts that weren't actually deleted, credit card charges. You're a banker. I thought you'd be better with numbers. It's not what you think." I laughed, a sound with no humor in it. "It's exactly what I think. You've been planning this for months. The late nights, the new clothes, the sudden interest in fitness. Brad Thompson. Pretty predictable, actually." "Danny, please. It was a mistake. It didn't mean anything." "You're right. It didn't mean anything. Our marriage didn't mean anything. The house we bought together didn't mean anything. The 10 years we spent building a life didn't mean anything." I headed for the front door, keys in hand. "That's why this is so easy." "You changed the locks?" "Among other things. Your stuff's in storage. Unit 47B on Maple Street. Paid up through the end of the month." She started crying then, the kind of desperate tears that come when someone realizes the game is over and they've lost. "Where am I supposed to go?" "I hear room 167 has a nice ocean view." 3 days later, Kelly called with an update from the town gossip network. "Sarah's staying at the Marriott now. Apparently she and Brad had a falling out. Something about him not being ready for the complications of a divorce." "Shocking," I said, not looking up from the transmission I was rebuilding. "Gets better. She went to her boss trying to get Brad transferred or fired. Turns out, HR takes a dim view of employees having affairs that disrupt the workplace, especially when one of them is married." "Both of them?" "Both of them. Brad's on probation, Sarah's been suspended pending investigation. Seems someone sent an anonymous email to the bank president with some very detailed information about their extracurricular activities." I hadn't sent that email, but I had a pretty good idea who had. Sarah's best friend Jennifer worked in HR at First National. Jennifer, who'd never married, who'd always been a little too interested in Sarah's personal life, who'd been asking a lot of questions around town about how I was handling the divorce. "There's more," Kelly continued. Jennifer's been telling anyone who will listen that you're being unreasonable. That Sarah made one mistake and you're destroying her life over it. Jennifer always was Sarah's biggest defender. Funny thing about that. Remember Tommy Russo? He does IT work for the bank, drinks at Murphy's every Friday. Says Jennifer's been accessing Sarah's work email for months, reading everything, including personal messages. Interesting. Very interesting. That weekend was the annual Harbor Days Festival, our town's biggest event. Food trucks, live music, local vendors, and half the population gathered in Harbor Park for what passed as our social event of the year. I hadn't planned to go, but Kelly convinced me it would be good to show my face, let people see I was doing fine. What I didn't expect was to see Sarah, Brad, and Jennifer huddled together near the bandstand, clearly having some kind of heated discussion. Sarah was gesturing wildly, Brad kept looking around like he wanted to escape, and Jennifer was talking fast, her hands moving in that way that meant she was trying to control the situation. I grabbed a beer and positioned myself where I could hear their conversation. "Told you this would blow over if we just waited," Jennifer was saying. "Danny's not smart enough to—" "He knew everything, Jen. Everything. Hotel reservations, credit card charges, even which room we were in." Sarah's voice was shrill with panic. "That's impossible unless someone told him," Brad said. "I never said anything to anyone." "Neither did I," Sarah snapped. Jennifer went very quiet. "Maybe he hired a private investigator." "Or maybe," I said, stepping into their little circle, "someone's been reading Sarah's emails and feeding information to whoever would listen." All three of them froze. Jennifer recovered first, putting on her fake smile. "Danny, how are you holding up?" "Oh, I'm doing great, Jen. Thanks for asking. Learning all sorts of interesting things lately, like how bank employees aren't supposed to access other employees' personal emails, or how HR personnel can be fired for violating privacy policies." Jennifer's smile faltered. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Sure you do. Tommy Russo's a talker when he's had a few beers. Amazing what IT guys know about who's been accessing what systems, when, and for how long." Sarah was staring at Jennifer now, pieces clicking into place. "Jen, you've been reading my emails?" "Sarah, I can explain." "For how long?" Sarah's voice was getting louder, drawing attention from nearby festival goers. Jennifer looked trapped. "I was trying to protect you. I knew something was wrong in your marriage. I was just—" "You were just what?" Brad interrupted. "Spying on us. Jesus, Jennifer, that's sick." "Don't you dare judge me," Jennifer snapped, her composure finally cracking. "You think you're so special, Brad? You're just another married woman's midlife crisis. Sarah was going to figure that out eventually." "I'm not married," Brad said, confused. "Not you, you idiot. Her. She's married to a man who actually loves her, and she threw it away for what? Your gym membership and your leased BMW?" The crowd around us was growing, drawn by the raised voices and drama. I could see people pulling out phones, recording what was quickly becoming the most entertaining thing to happen at Harbor Days in years. "You want to know the really sick part?" I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Jennifer's been in love with Sarah for years. This whole thing, the affair, the divorce, it was all orchestrated by someone who thought she could swoop in and comfort Sarah after her marriage fell apart." Jennifer's face went bright red. "That's not true." "Isn't it? You encouraged the affair, didn't you? Covered for Sarah when she needed alibis, probably even suggested the Seaside Inn because you knew Pete would tell me about it. You wanted me to find out. You wanted our marriage to explode so you could be Sarah's shoulder to cry on." Sarah was staring at Jennifer in horror. "Is that true? Sarah, please, Is it true?" Jennifer's shoulders sagged. "I love you. I've always loved you. More than he ever could." The crowd was dead silent now. Even the band had stopped playing. "You destroyed my marriage," Sarah whispered. "Your marriage was already over. You just needed help seeing it. That's when Brad decided he'd had enough. I'm out. This is insane. All of you are insane." He started walking away, but I called after him. Leaving so soon, Brad? Don't you want to stick around for the fireworks? He turned back, anger finally overriding his fear. You know what, Danny? Yeah, I slept with your wife. She came on to me, not the other way around. Said you were boring, that you had no ambition, that she was wasting her life in this dead-end town with a dead-end guy. The crowd murmured at that. In a town like ours, them were fighting words. Is that right? I said, walking closer to him. She said I was boring? That's right. Said you peaked in high school boxing and never amounted to anything else. I nodded thoughtfully. Well, Brad, let me show you something I learned in those boring high school boxing days. I didn't hit him. I didn't need to. I just stepped forward quickly, and he stumbled backward in panic, tripped over his own feet, and fell directly into the dunking booth that the fire department had set up for the festival. The crowd erupted in laughter and applause. Brad came up sputtering, his expensive clothes soaked, his hair plastered to his head. Someone in the crowd yelled, "Do it again!" and the laughter got even louder. I turned back to Sarah and Jennifer. You two deserve each other. Sarah, the divorce papers are final next month. Don't contest it, don't drag it out, just sign and move on. Jennifer, I'd start looking for a new job if I were you. Tommy Russo's got screenshots of every email you accessed illegally. I started to walk away, then turned back one more time. Oh, and Sarah, the house is sold. Closing next week. I'm buying a boat and sailing somewhere that doesn't smell like betrayal and desperation. The crowd parted as I walked through them, and I could hear the whispers starting already. By tomorrow, everyone in town would know the whole story. Sarah and Jennifer would never be able to show their faces here again. Brad would probably transfer back to Boston, assuming he still had a job. As for me, I had a check for the house sale in my pocket, a boat picked out at the marina, and the satisfaction of knowing that sometimes the good guys do win. I walked to my truck, got in, and drove away from Harbor Days, leaving behind 10 years of marriage and 35 years in a town that suddenly felt too small to hold all the truth that had just spilled out. The ocean was calling, and for the first time in months, I was free to answer.